My name is Yaron Assabi. I'm the founder of Digital Solutions Group. One of our companies within the group is an MVNE, a mobile virtual network enabler. And what makes MVNE unique in the market is actually the fact that it is part of the Digital Solutions Group. DSG also stands for doing something great, and we do great projects around customer experience. We have a customer experience business within our group, and we serve some of the largest corporates in Africa and large consumer brands. And MVNE is able to tap into the customer experience group to help MVNOs differentiate their service through exceptional customer experience. We also have a software development company within the group called Digitalize.com, and Digitalize helps the MVNOs enable digital transformation with the various customer value propositions that they take to market. What's very important for the success of MVNOs is also to be able to convert existing customers to the MVNO value proposition, or be able to acquire new customers because of that value proposition. And DSG has a business within the group called Broadbrand, which offers marketing as a service and helps organizations become better than marketing to their customers using some amazing artificial intelligence in marketing and machine learning, as well as digitalmall.com, which is part of DSG. And we enable omni-channel commerce, and often the direct channel and direct interaction with the customer is really, really important. So we're able to enable that. Because MVNOs deal with a lot of customer data, it's really important to be able to protect that as well and be compliant with regulatory framework. And to that end, DSG is invested in a business called Digital Resilience, and we offer end-to-end cybersecurity solutions for our MVNOs and for our customers. And we're able to offer some really interesting value-added services through the various companies within the group. So really, MVNE provides the billing software, the CRM, the consulting, the strategy, but taps into all the different Digital Solutions Group companies that are able to offer an end-to-end solution that their MVNO needs to be able to be successful in the market.
What do successful MVNOs have in common?
I think successful MVNOs leverage their existing assets. So as MVNE, we like to work with existing brands that want to extend their brand into the telco services as a defensive strategy or as a way to grow their market share. And being able to combine your core value proposition with a telco value proposition and go to market with a differentiated value proposition is the key to the success for MVNOs. It's quite a complex environment. So it's about strategic partnerships with an MVNE. We highly recommend that if it's not your core business telco, you should partner with an expert company and collaborate with them and be able to articulate a clear value proposition that's different in the market. It's differentiated, that will allow you to capitalize on your core business and win market share in the telco space as well, and vice versa, support your core business and through the MVNO be able to win more customers for your core business. What's fundamental to every business is great, exceptional customer experience. And we believe that MVNOs are far more agile and nimble and are able to serve their customers better than MNOs, who tend to get very large and find it quite difficult to keep up with their customers. In a world where data is gold, a data-driven strategy is very important, and to be able to use insights and analytics to be able to personalize your service for your customers and to be able to grow their wallet share is really, really important. And one of the key success factors for MVNOs as well is running a cost-effective operation, because you don't have to invest in infrastructure. You can focus on really differentiating the customer journey and the customer experience and do it in a very cost-effective manner. And you have a lot of room for agility and adaptability to be able to respond to what's happening in the market. When you're working with DSG also works with MNOs, often it takes them a longer time to be able to reinvent themselves and respond to market conditions. where an MVNO has an ability to be very agile and adaptable. And if one of the competitors in the market is going out with a new value proposition, you should be able to respond within weeks rather than months or years, which often takes a lot longer for an MNO to respond. As I mentioned earlier, the partnership with an MVNE is quite important, especially if it's not your core business and you don't want to have to go and pay school fees in telco and get your customer experience people, for example, to understand how to handle billing and queries and handsets and configurations of handsets for particular APNs and things like that. There's a lot of three-letter acronyms or TLAs in the telco industry that a bank or an entertainment company would have to learn and become more adaptable to be able to compete in that market. And then lastly, and most importantly, I think, is a good relationship with a mobile network operator. It's very important that the MNO and the MVNO collaborate well together, and that you're certainly not competing on price, because that's not a big differentiator, and it's very difficult to compete with your host MNO on price. You're actually adding niche segments and unique value propositions that help the MNO grow in markets that they have not played before, and provides huge opportunity for the MVNO to focus on something that's currently not available in the market. So I think from a technical support perspective, from a commercial perspective, it's important that there's a good understanding and a bi-directional relationship between the MNO and the MVNO to be able to grow market share. From an MNO perspective, it's a lot more profitable because you don't have to worry about customer experience, you don't have to worry about retail, you don't have to worry about distribution. So there's a vested interest for the host MNO that the MVNO would be successful. And at the end of the day, the MVNO success is also the MNO success as the wholesale provider. So getting the two to work well together is really essential.
What are the key obstacles MVNOs face nowadays?
I think MVNOs in Africa specifically face a few challenges, starting with the regulatory environment. It's very different in different countries in Africa, and it's very important that the environment from the regulator perspective is friendly for MVNOs. Many countries in Africa have regulated MVNOs, some haven't. In South Africa, for example, the only regulation around MVNOs is that the host network should launch MVNOs on their network, but there isn't price parity or sender keeps all or other regulatory frameworks that generally protect the MVNO. Whereas in Kenya or in Namibia, it is regulated and you can apply for an MVNO license, and they do have some regulatory frameworks. But I think the regulatory environment is important to be able to succeed and to protect the MVNO. And it's something that in Africa is not very mature, but is maturing. And as MVNE, we help with regulators and MNOs and MVNOs to collaborate well together, because the regulatory framework is really, really important. The second challenge for MVNOs in Africa is to be able to work with different mobile network operators. So if you're a Pan-African MVNO, one of my clients is DSTV, and then 42 countries in Africa, you'd find that you'd have to have different relationships with different MNOs to be able to serve the total African market. And that's a challenge. It's not like in other markets where you might have consistency and be able to work with a single operator and do a multi-country deal. You can do that with some operators in Africa, but sometimes you will have to adapt and be agile and work with different operators in different markets. The other challenge, I think, for MNOs is quality of network. And in some countries, the quality of the network would be particularly good in urban areas, but sometimes a bit more challenging in rural areas. So being able to negotiate the right quality of service and being able to offer the right quality of service for customers is another challenge for MVNOs in Africa. And then the commercial framework to be able to succeed is very, very important. Business is dynamic and it changes all the time. And especially in the telco sector, we're seeing globally a trend towards data costs coming down. And being able to have flexibility in your commercial agreement with a mobile network operator to be able to adjust your rates in the lifespan of the agreement is really, really important, and to be able to keep up with market dynamics. For example, in South Africa, recently, we've suffered a lot of challenges with quality of service and generally network uptime because of the load shedding. Which is quite unique to South Africa. And it created a lot of additional costs for the mobile network operator to keep up with load shedding and being able to keep their network up. And somehow that cost had to be absorbed by the mobile network operator. And therefore, some of the MNOs are looking to pass some of these costs onto the MVNOs. The ability to manage that balance around the commercial relationship is really, really important. And lastly, as an MVNO, you're really a digital transformation enabler, and you need to be innovative and you need to understand technology. So keeping up with technology trends like eSIM, for example, and IoT, Internet of Things. And as we get more and more connected and there's more devices out there, being able to manage the various technological advancements. What does artificial intelligence means to my business? How can my BSS be, business support systems be artificially intelligent enabled and machine learning enabled to be able to give me better analytics and data, being able to keep up with generic technology trends and being able to differentiate your service in the market is a big challenge. But if you work with the right enabler and with the right partners, you can mitigate those risks and really deliver great service to your customers, making sure that technology becomes a competitive advantage rather than a challenge.
Where do you see the MVNO business in the next few years?
I think MVNOs are really going to revolutionize and transform the telecommunications market in Africa. It doesn't make sense to deploy more infrastructure. And we've already seen that the mobile network operators are starting to share sites and share their network where possible to try and save costs and be better and more responsible with the environment. And MVNOs really help fill that network with additional niche value propositions. So we're seeing a huge growth, cumulative annual growth rate. Forecast globally is maybe 6 to 8%. We believe that in Africa, because we're starting off a very low base of less than 1% of the total market being served by MVNOs, we see a huge growth in this market over the next few years, especially in markets in Africa where there's over 100% penetration. That is the time that MVNOs really thrive, because it's when the network starts stealing customers from each other in order to sustain their growth. And a lot of them are public companies, and they become a lot more open to working in a wholesale framework with MVNOs. We're also seeing growth over the next few years in the kind of niche services that will come about, especially in the Internet of Things. As the world is getting more and more connected, we're going to see more and more IoT connections. We're seeing that technology-infused business support systems using AI and ML will get a shorter time to market for MVNOs, and will provide a lot of efficiency in managing telco services in general, but it will impact MVNOs as well. And I think that MVNOs are going to look to more and more get solutions as a service in a cloud environment rather than having to deploy on-premise. And that will open up big opportunities for mobile and cloud in Africa. And we feel that legacy providers will have to kind of reinvent themselves and keep up with the technological innovation and trends that are happening, that are really allowing quick time to market, allows you to be able to reinvent your value proposition based on market dynamics and what the market is doing, and really differentiate your service. So I really think it's a very exciting space to be in Africa. Very low base, as I said, under 1%. whereas in Europe, some countries like Germany are over 30%, and the Netherlands, one of the highest in Europe, is over 40% of the market is served by niche MVNOs. And I think that competition is really, really good for the African market, because we've got one of the highest data costs in the world. And hopefully, with the growth of MVNOs in the market and competition, we'll see a healthier economy and lower cost of data, which has direct implications on growth of GDP. So there's been some studies that correlate that lower the cost of internet has got a direct correlation to growth in GDP. Almost like 10% discount in internet costs can lead up to maybe 1% growth in GDP. Those are some of the numbers that I've seen from World Economic Forum and from some of the analysis that's been done around internet connectivity and digital transformation on the continent. So I really think MVNOs will play a critical role in digitally transforming Africa, and it's a very exciting space.